Hey everyone, we are live. I am super excited to connect with everyone today and to bring you the beautiful and magical Georgina EL.
El Morshdy.
We just discussed this right before we went live, and here I am, real life. So, anyone who's joining us, please be sure to comment and say hello. Let us know that you're here. We love interacting with everyone, and I cannot wait to share Georgina's magic with all of you today. Today, we are talking about Georgina and how she is so very gifted at helping you unlock your genius in the world. And Georgina has actually helped impact driven entrepreneurs, activators, creators, and visionaries unlock their message and establish thought leadership through her products, course creation, and writing. And interestingly, Georgina and I connected because we were both contributing co authors to, and you have it right there. You're so good, to Sacred Redesign. So, Sacred Redesign is a compilation of various stories from all amazing souls about how they have designed their own lives outside of society standards. And so that's how Georgina and I met. And I'm so blessed to know her. And we are just going to jump right in. So, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I just never get enough of singing your praises. You're probably like, when's this intro going to be over with? So, again, anyone who's joining us, please comment and say hello. Let us know that you're here. And, Georgina, tell us about your work and what inspired you to this path.
That's such a great question. So I think for myself, I'm sure for many other people as well, what inspired me to this path was my own path of growth and evolution. And I found a way to create a business and an income out of the thing that I loved, which was writing. Writing's always been my thing since I was a child. And so I spent a number of years supporting people through writing. And then more recently, my work is evolving and transforming into this place of empowering people to discover the truth of who they are and then learn how to share that in an impactful way. And so this really is a reflection of my own personal growth and evolution, of being able to really know myself, do the inner work to connect with the voice within, the voice of source, and discover what is uniquely mine to share at this time, in this time, and for this time. And then find a way to surface that individual wisdom, that innate knowing, and then shape that into courses and tools and frameworks and methodologies, and then share that for impact, share that for self-expression, share that for personal growth and evolution, and to know myself even more. And so something I call the aligned message activator. And it's this beautiful tool and process that enables us to activate our greatest personal growth catalyst, but also find our unique gift to the world in the process.
So beautiful. And, because I mean, the work you do is so amazing because there really aren't words for a lot of what we experience and how we feel. I'd love for you to share more with us a little bit about how you bring that forward in others.
So I guess like the story goes, when I was a child, I always found my expression through writing. Like I just loved that place of contemplation and introspection, and being able to take my imagination and pour my imagination onto the page and create something. I had so much joy in that process. And what I've realized as I've got older and as I've been moving through this world and this business, is that a lot of us, because of experiences and because of society, we get shut down. We hold our tongue. We lose connection with actually what we really feel and what we really want to say, because maybe we've been judged in the past, or we've been criticized or rejected or ridiculed, etc. And so we learn how to show up in a way that we feel safe, we feel accepted. But in the process, sometimes we can chisel off parts of ourselves. We can like silence our voice. We can remain quiet on the things that really matter to us. And what I found is, with working with people, that when someone has a safe space where they feel where they are free to fully express themselves, whether that's in a conversation or, for example, through free writing, through answering question prompts in a notebook, for example, what often happens is these new insights surface. Like when you give yourself permission to let the truth speak, often we say things that surprise even ourselves. And so I just realized that I had this skill, this gift, if you like, for opening people up, like empowering people to say things they might not have spoken before, asking questions to dive deeper and create clarification and comprehension for someone. And I just got so much joy from that process, because my own experience, my own journey is about the joy of being seen and heard for who I really am. And I think we all have this deep craving to know that. And so being able to offer a gift where people can discover themselves, I think it's the work of these times in many ways.
It is, and I think you just read my mind, because I was just getting ready to say something similar, which was that we are living in a time where it's not a nice to have. It's really becoming a necessity in order to navigate each of our paths forward, to
Mm-hmm.
have that clear sense of self, and
Mm-hmm.
not only the clear sense of self, but our important to fully express who we are as well. The work you do is so, so, so important, and more than ever, there are people being called to birth new creations into the world. So, a lot of that old societal programming around competition and like measuring
Mm-hmm.
yourself against what peer groups and other industries are doing is not, it doesn't hold the same level of relevancy as it once did, because there are so many people that are being called to step forward to birth something new. So important to be clear in who you are and to have the confidence to
Totally.
express that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's such a beautiful age, although there's lots of real challenges about this age. One of the most beautiful things is this platform of social media, where we actually have a platform for expression, for individual thought, for sharing ideas, and finding our people, finding like-minded people. And I think like social media in this way has become this amplifier and this activator and accelerant as well for us to actually realize we have something to say and something to express that isn't just a reaction to the outside world, that's something that's born from within us. And I love this notion that we're all here to speak on something, and that something is born from our life experiences, from the journey we've led, from the fact that we can reflect on where we've walked already, discover what life is teaching us about life, and then in the process of sharing that, we consolidate our own knowing, we declare who we are, we discover who we are, but also we then activate something within the collective, because what you figured out about life can be my shortcut, can be an inspiration for me to take my next step. And I think that this is also this beautiful way to help us remember that we are part of a whole. We're this collective community, and in this age of elevating human consciousness, the more we can know ourselves and share that, like the more we can master our own unique perspective on the life we live, and then share that with others. I think it's going to be it's going to help compress time around how we evolve.
Absolutely. I when I visualize humanity, I see us, as this amazing quilt comprised of all of these different uniquely colored threads,
Mm-hmm.
all unique but interwoven together, tightly
Mm-hmm.
connected.
That's beautiful. I love that analogy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so loving this conversation. Anyone who's joined us, please say hello and feel free to engage in the conversation with us. And also, if you're watching the replay, let us know that now too. Georgina, you have an amazing program out where you're supporting others to bring that message forward. Tell us all about that.
I do. So I have a program called Sage, Philosopher, Storyteller, and I'm getting ready to launch the third round of this experience. And it really is a sacred journey of activating these three energies, these three archetypes that we have within us. And the first archetype, the sage, is this part of us that knows, has this inherent knowing, and it enables us to discern and discover what is uniquely ours to share. And so if we can create a ritual of connection with this part of us, which is this part of us connected to source, connected to the wider whole, what happens is we get to surface this new insight. We get to birth these new creations. We get to captivate and cultivate our individual wisdom. And we get to surface this and bring it into conscious awareness. And what's powerful about this is often we are reactive. I still remain shocked. I read an article a while back and I was doing some research about concentration, and I discovered that the human attention span is now officially less than a goldfish's. So our attention is less than 9 seconds. And you can see why.
9 seconds? Right? Because, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's less than a goldfish.
Oh,
and
gosh.
You can see why. Like, on the one hand, social media is amazing, as we've already explored, but on the other hand, it's terrible. The sense of we're in this age of information overwhelm and overload. We're bombarded. Like, our attention has become can be turned into currency. It's monetizable. And so this is a big problem, because when we're just consuming all the time, when we can't get any depth or anything because we're just constantly flicking, we're just not touching anything beyond the superficial. And we can only know what we see rather than what we feel and what we're surfacing, what we're experiencing inside. So the sage is that reminder that actually you have wisdom that cannot be found outside of yourself. There's this wisdom that can only be found when you go within. And this is the root of all the magic, like all the insight, all the newness. So cultivating a ritual to connect with that and surface that just impacts everything, like your business, your relationships, your knowing. So that's the sage. And then as the sage is surfacing this insight, what it then does, it passes that insight onto your philosopher. So the philosopher within is that part of you that takes all these ideas and is, okay, how can I formulate this into something? How can I turn this into like a methodology or a language or a framework or a tool or a program or a service? How can I take what I know, what is mine to share, and put it in a way that I can share it on a scalable and structured way? So the philosopher is so powerful because it puts identity around your individual wisdom. And then the third part is activating the storyteller. So that part of us that is here for the outer expression. They're here to share the right story at the right time. They're here to be fearlessly visible with what the sage has revealed, so that as you speak and as you express and as you articulate, so you grow, but also you then give your gift to the world. And so this 3-part process of surfacing, shaping, and sharing your aligned message enables you to tap into your greatest personal growth catalyst. Because to come and share a message, to know yourself at that depth, well, you can imagine the personal growth that comes from that. But it's also your unique gift to the world, because there's something that you can do or something that you know that is just utterly unique, because you are the lens, you are the sharer, you are the channel for that insight, and there is no one else. There will never be anyone else. There has never been anyone else who's like you. So the lens of you, like your philosophies, your personality, your values, your beliefs, your stories, it's just this unique piece. That means that when you activate your aligned message, you never have to worry about being the copycat or being reactive, because it's always unique, because it's shared through the lens of you. So I just love this process. It's this experience of workshops and live training and activations and journaling prompts to really activate that aligned message and give you the confidence that what you're doing and what you're putting out there into the world is what you are being called to put out there.
Yes, to all of that, to every little delicious bit of that. And I especially love that you reference becoming a channel for that message, because um, so many that are on, this path of the sage emerging, right? They often spend more time, can tend to spend more time, in the upper chakras and in states of meditation or contemplation. And many people are challenged with translating that into physical action, into physically embodying that. So I love that you bring up becoming the channel, because our physical bodies really are the channel, the conduit between heaven and earth, the conduit between that wisdom and bringing that down and sharing that in the world.
I love that. That's such a powerful reminder. And you're right. It's this grounding piece of taking what you've discovered, what you know, and then doing something with that in the outside world. That transformation piece is so powerful, because we all walk this earth. We're all from the earth. We all return to the earth. So we all impact the earth. So what kind of footprint do we want to leave? What ripple do we want to spark? Like our message, our presence, our beingness is like throwing the stone into the pond. It sparks something. And when we activate our aligned message, at least we know that what we're doing is intentional and it's aligned with who we are and what we feel called to do. And this reconnection with the sage, this has been one of the biggest parts for me, because it's so easy to think, oh, I've got nothing special to say, or if there's anything really, I've got anything unique to talk about, or these other people are doing all this cool stuff. And
that's that societal programming though, right?
Exactly. And so the sage is inviting you to turn off that external noise, to dial it down, and to really turn inward and listen inward and trust that insight. And I've really noticed this with my own writing and my own journaling. I can see the difference when I've spent too much time being observant of what's going on outside of me. My writing takes a different form to what happens when I just sit with myself and I don't worry about what anyone else is doing. I just focus on, okay, what is mine to share? Like, what do I need to know now? What do I want to express now? What's for me and what's to share? It cultivates this depth of insight, and it transforms what you write about.
And that involves creating space, right? Having a discipline and consistently creating space to allow those insights to flow through. Kind of going back to what you said earlier about how when you were researching, our attention span is now less than a goldfish. That's freaking crazy. Right? It's totally crazy, but it's because we live in a distraction age, right? And but the only person that can change that is us, because we have free will, right? So it has to be our free will that changes the outcome, that creates the outcome of whatever it is that we desire. This reminds me of something I just recently did. I wanted to create some additional space, and so I decided to take an entire week off a couple weeks ago. Brilliant. I cleared my entire calendar, but I also made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to be on social media for a week, for 7 days, and I kept that promise. I stayed off of social media for 7 days. And at first there was a little part of me that was pulling toward, going on there, because I have an online business and that's what I'm used to doing. But it honestly really wasn't that difficult to do that. Of course, I'm dating myself by saying this, but I also remember a whole life before regular use of the internet and social media. But the insights that came through during that time of creating that additional space, it was it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have to be a week, obviously, but it's important for anyone to just have their own unique routine in place. And whether that's journaling, right, or meditation, or just contemplation, recording yourself, whatever it
Definitely.
is,
Yep.
just
All of those
having it.
things. And you're absolutely right. It's this notion of, when we create that space, we create the space for depth. And the depth is where the magic is going to show up, because we mentioned the goldfish attention span and the overwhelm with information and the draw to just be on social and to be distractible. What that means is most of us are not seeing what lurks underneath. And I think this calling to cultivate depth, to cultivate complex thought, to cultivate contemplation, and feeling your way around difficult issues and difficult conversations. Like, the world really needs that now. There's so many things in our society that aren't working, that are broken, that need transforming. And if we can't hold that complexity or navigate that or think more deeply about it, things aren't going to shift. So this connection with the sage can be transformative for us as individuals, but also for us as a collective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that I'm feeling guided to bring forward to contribute as well is that when we feel like this, you know, we're unclear or that we're disconnected with the sage, it's not that we're unclear. It's more of our ego mind's resistance to the believability of the message that we're feeling called to bring forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that. It's like, who am I to share this? Especially if it's something new or it feels something a bit different. It's like, you know, who am I? Can I trust myself? What if it's right? What if it's wrong? So we definitely have those fears. And that's why you mentioned before about remembering that you're the channel and learning to be the channel. Like, a lot of the work is to clear out all those insecurities and all the false fears, so you can hear that insight in its purest form. Because often we hear things, I notice it myself, this is a cool thing about journaling, especially when you journal like the critic or the saboteur's voice as well, because you can have a great idea. Like, this happened to me at the weekend. I was journaling and I was writing, and I had this really cool like insight. It's like, wow, that's cool. And then as I was writing it, it's not really that cool, is it? You know, who's going to be interested in that? Maybe you're making stuff up here. And like, this whole other voice came in, was yabbering away, and what can happen is we can start to pollute that insight or doubt it or transform it and start to edit things out, so we lose bits. So part of the sage journey is actually being able to just trust that voice when it comes through, allowing yourself to capture it, allowing yourself to notice the saboteur when it shows up, but then allowing yourself to purge all the nonsense that it talks about, so that the message becomes clearer and bolder and bigger.
I'd love to also get your thoughts on the inner people pleaser, because a lot of, you know, light workers and people who desire to create impact in the world naturally want to make everybody happy, but in fact, that's not possible, because each person is on their own unique journey and their opinions and perspectives are all shaped by their individual experiences. What would be your advice, you know, in terms of like the people that you work with, on getting past that courage to share the full essence of their message without allowing the peanut gallery essentially to dim their light?
I mean, that's the journey, right? This is why
It is. It sure is.
This is why your message is your greatest personal growth catalyst as well, because all of the things you just said there, that's what you face. Like, you face the criticism, and it's not like sharing. I used to be a teacher. I used to teach anatomy, so I was quite happy standing up and talking about different physical processes and how different things work, because it's kind of fact. When you share you, which is what we're talking about here, we're talking about sharing you. It's a whole different kettle of fish, because all of a sudden now it's you are up for judgment. People can say you're right or you're wrong. So we have to face these visibility fears. And if you've got a backstory of being bullied or rejected or abused or any of those things, suddenly it's like, whoa, I feel really uncomfortable here. I'm being seen suddenly. I spent years trying to hide because I was so scared of this. But this piece of being like, no, it's important that I share. It's important that people hear what I have to say from me, but also for potentially what they might receive from my voice and my ideas and my insights. So in terms of the people pleasing, what I found is it's tempting to dial things back or to soften things or to take the edges off, so that when people receive it, it just kind of ripples over them potentially. But there are some people who actually need the full force of your message. And if you are dumbing things down, actually you can't activate them because it doesn't hit hard enough, or it doesn't touch the right places, or it doesn't shake the cages in the way that maybe your message is meant to. So we have to find and discover, like, how are we supposed to be delivering this? And if we notice that we're dumbing things down or editing things out because we're worried about how we're going to be received, it's like, okay, let's look at that. Let's do the work to discover, is that a fear? Is this a growth opportunity for you? Or are you kind of not sharing the message in the way it's intended? So yeah, people pleasing. It's like, how many of us have had experiences of people pleasing? But heck, yes, the message needs to come through in the way it needs to come through. And I do know, I can, when I'm working with someone, I can feel it when it's like, there's a bit of compromise here, or you're holding back here. Maybe there's not so much integrity here because you're taking this piece out because you're worried what people might think. We've got to find the courage to hold all of it. If it's coming through us and it's meant to be shared by us, we have to find a way to speak it. And I'm definitely on this journey right now of surfacing, okay, what am I actually here to speak about? Like, I'm feeling that there are new things coming through me that I want to talk about. And it's confronting, because what are people going to think of me if I have these opinions and I say these things? But this is the gift of message making in this age. It's such a declaration of self and a declaration of truth.
Absolutely. And shaking the cages. I love that reference that you use. And, one of the highest forms of love is that full expression, that full soul expression, that fierce love, that being activated and awakening in the message that you're sharing. I love that so much. So for those who are interested in connecting with you and learning more about your amazing program, how can they do that?
Come find me on social. I am at Georgina EL Morshdy. You can email me as well. But best place, drop into my inbox on Messenger.
Awesome. Great. And thank you so much for taking the time to just share all of your magic with us. I mean, bringing forward the true essence of who someone is, of their sage. I mean, your work is really, truly priceless.
Thank you.
So grateful to have you here on the planet.
Thank you. I really had a lovely conversation. It was awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Georgina.